Inside Michigan Football is presented by Meijer.
Hi again, friends, and welcome to another edition of Inside Michigan Football. Homecoming in Ann Arbor, a maze out in Ann Arbor. The fans knew the assignment. It looked great, and Michigan gets a 24-10 win over Wisconsin. We talked about it coming out of the bye, John Jansen. A little sluggish, it can happen.
It can happen, and sluggish obviously on defense, but that only lasted for 75 yards.
One series.
After that, there was no sluggish in that defense.
Yeah, I mean, that opening drive by Wisconsin was impressive. As you mentioned, 75 yards, 6 minutes and 50 seconds. Heavy dose of Dylan Jones, but we've seen Wink Martindale make adjustments, but this first drive was impressive.
It was, and the adjustments that he made was, tighter coverage, and it was just a matter of winning one-on-one matchups up front, which they started to do, and they dominated.
And we will get to that domination a little bit later on. Michigan, the first time they had the ball, so Wisconsin had allowed 50 yards a game rushing on average, number one in the country all year. And on that opening drive, Justice Haynes had 54 yards rushing all himself.
He did, and the key to that one was the 43-yard run that he had. And we're just going to go to Jansen Vision straight away, and I want you to watch this linebacker right here, and really both of these guys right here. But Justice Haynes is going to take that ball on this side, and we've talked about him reading linebackers before. He sells it on this side of the center. All of a sudden, you get these guys that are coming in here. That's all he needs, and then it's just a great job by Max Bredesen, sealing the center. Everybody else buys backside. There's a nice hole there for Justice Haynes to hit, and he's off for 43 yards.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of this. What an addition he has been to this roster. He would end up capping off that drive with a short touchdown run. He's been good in the red zone as well.
Yeah, and I mean, his explosive plays. I mean, you could go through every game. I mean, 5 games, 100 yards.
But there were a lot of plays in that first half where Wisconsin really did stuff the Michigan rushing attack. We were impressed with their front seven.
And, I mean, they're the number one rushing defense in the country for a reason. At least they were.
Yeah. Now let's talk about the Michigan defense. A couple of plays here that you want to highlight.
Yeah, and I want to highlight Trey Pierce on this play. He's here, and he's lined up over the guard. He does a nice job, and this is the start. This is the first down after they gave up that 75-yard drive. I want you to watch how he attacks this offensive guard. He's going to roll. He's going to stay with them down the line. He's going to force the running back to keep going, and then when it's time to make the play, he sheds them off to the side and makes the tackle. And he does a tremendous job of doing that. And those are the one-on-one matchups that in a run game, especially a run-heavy offense, that you're going to have to win.
I'll tell you who had a great game on Saturday. Jimmy Rolder. Oh. They've moved Jayshon Barham up to edge, in part because a guy like Jimmy Rolder had to be on the field.
And the next play I'm going to show you is Jimmy Rolder, and there's nothing unique or special about this play other than Jimmy Rolder's a badass, and this is exactly why. So he's coming from depth, and the Red Sea's part. Everybody's going this way, and there's a great view of Jimmy Rolder coming downhill. And this is what happens. He blows up the back, forces the quarterback to go out, and then all of a sudden, hey, there's Cam Brandt in his face. This is one of the few interceptions they had, or few incompletions they had early, and it's all because Jimmy Rolder came in with bad intentions.
I talk to Wink Martindale every week. He loves the physicality of his defense, and that was on display pretty much after the first 6 minutes and 50 seconds.
Yeah, and I mean, when you play with that type of aggression, with that type of just mentality, and you get 11 guys on the field that are on the field at that time and more that are waiting to get in there on the sidelines, you're going to have that's a winning effort.
So early in the week, in your radio interview with Sherrone Moore, he said, we're challenging the wide receivers. The depth chart is a living, breathing thing, and we're going to see more of Andrew Marsh. He got his first career start, the true freshman, and he started to make plays on Saturday.
He did, and there were other plays that were there, and maybe he just wasn't the number one receiver on that route. He's running really good routes. We've seen him be the athlete, the speed, the explosion. There was a spin that he had in there to pick up a first down. All those things are why the coaches and I think us as fans are excited about it.
He made some plays that led to 3 points to give Michigan a 10-7 lead. So late in the first half, Wolverines had the ball, tried to go on a 4-minute drive, had to punt. Now Wisconsin's got it. They have a chance to score last to go into the halftime locker room. And here, you want to highlight an underrated play on a third down play.
Yeah, and this is underrated because as this receiver comes in motion here, he's going to be put in conflict. Am I going to block the end of the line of scrimmage here with Derek Moore, or as he comes across, and what he doesn't see is that you've got TJ Metcalf right here, and he's backed up by a receiver. By a safety. There's also another receiver out here along here. So Like, there's no reason for him to be backed up. Now, all of a sudden, that leaves him free to hit at the line of scrimmage. Derek Moore comes in here, and now this guy is forced, do I block Derek Moore or TJ Metcalf? He doesn't make the right decision, and TJ's able to get the bat on the ball.
That forced a Wisconsin punt, and Michigan took a 10-7 lead to the halftime locker room, and this is where Wink Martindale and Sherrone Moore did a great job.
Yeah, and it was about open field tackling on defense. It was about making your blocks, improving the performance of the offensive line, and wide receivers catching the ball in the second half, and that's what we saw.
Yeah, we did. Wolverines got a lot done in the second half. As they beat Wisconsin here in Ann Arbor, we'll have a look at what happened after the halftime break. Straight ahead here on Inside Michigan Football.
I know they were the #1 run defense. They played hard. They played their game, and they made it tough sledding. But at the end of the day, we know what we're about, and we know what we can do. So we just got to execute and control the controllables each and every week.
Inside Michigan Football is brought to you by Meijer, presenting sponsor of the 2025 Michigan football season and proud supporter of hundreds of local sports teams across the Midwest. And by Michigan Medicine. There's a difference between an answer and a Michigan answer. To find your Michigan answer, visit michigananswers.com. Roll out to his right, looking downfield, delivers, and it's caught inside Wisconsin territory. It's Marsh.
We really knew it was a few things we had to clean up in the first half, and coming into the second half, we knew we just had to make it happen. So I feel like we came out ready to just fire on all cylinders, and we made it happen.
Michigan a winner at the Big House over Wisconsin on homecoming. So we go to the second half. It's a tight ball game. Adjustments were made. But you wanted to highlight a sequence of plays here on Michigan's opening drive in the third quarter.
Yeah, these were almost back-to-back plays. And on this one, Andrew Marsh is going to come in motion. He's going to get out here in the flat. And the ball ends up going to Andrew Marsh. But I also want you to watch Marlon Klein. As he comes around on the backside here, he is wide open. And hey, there's nothing wrong with the decision that Bryce makes on this one. He's wide open, he's going underneath, but I just want you to remember the concept of you got a guy coming in the flat and a guy going over the top. Now all of a sudden you do the same thing, but you're going to bring it from the backfield. You got a guy in the flat, and this is where Andrew Marsh is going to be coming over the top. I'm going to go ahead and move it forward here. And you see Andrew Marsh just coming out here. You got your running back in the flat. Now you're going high-low on these guys, but this time Bryce, instead of throwing it underneath, he takes the shot to Andrew Marsh, and it's a big-time pickup for this offense. And that is the progression of watching a young quarterback not always taking the easy throw right in front of him, the one that's staring him right in the face, but seeing, maybe I missed one on this play. Didn't make a wrong decision, but I could make a better decision.
So we saw that drive. The Wolverines actually had to overcome a holding call. They have some other good plays to get into field goal range, and disappointment that they couldn't capitalize in points, but an impressive opening drive. Now let's talk about the defense. Because at Nebraska 2 weeks ago, the defense was a 3-and-out machine in the second half, and they started that on this field in the second half with stepping up and forcing 3-and-outs, Wisconsin's first, second, and third and fourth possession, all three plays.
Well, there were 8 possessions in there, save the interception where Wisconsin had to punt the ball. It was touchdown, field goal to start the game, to finish the game, but everything else was either interception or punt.
Well, and the 3-and-out, Jimmy Rolder made a big-time play. You had Zeke Berry jump the route, got a pass break up there. There were plays being made all over the place by Wink Martindale's defense in the second half. All right, let's go to Donovan McCulley, okay? This kid, we've been kind of waiting. He had a shoestring toe-tapping catch at Nebraska that they ruled him out, but he made a big catch on the sideline in this game.
Yeah, and this one was actually called out of bounds to begin with. They reviewed it. They said, no, this time he's wearing a half size smaller. He's in. And, I mean, sometimes you just need some of those plays to get a guy going. And I don't know if that was the play that got him going, but to have that threat, just think about this. When did Michigan's running game really get going? When all of a sudden Donovan McCulley and Andrew Marsh with those threats downfield, even Samaj, now all of a sudden you take that extra guy out of the box and things seem a little bit easier in there.
And McCulley got into the end zone. That was a great run after catch to break tackles, his first touchdown as a Wolverine. All right, so Wisconsin finally did get a first down, but it was a 3-play drive again because Rod Moore. Rod Moore, last time we saw him play at the Big House, he was picking off Ohio State to seal that game, and he gets his first interception of the season here.
And, you know, I know you weren't able to be in the locker room, but to hear the guys chant his name, to hear the reception that when he got into the locker room, it just erupted because of everything that he's been through. All those guys have been through it with him. He was the one going through it, but they've been there to support him. He's been supporting them in the entire process. It was just great to see him make a play.
Yeah, and he was all over the field, quite frankly. He made plays. His closing speed, you could see why he was all-American type player before he got injured, and he looks like it now.
And Sharon talked about it in the postgame. It was his ability to, you know, stop the reverse, his ability on the reception.
All right, let's go to Jansen Vision here. Key third down run.
Yeah, this is a key third down run. This is Justice Hayes again, but this is where I'm really enjoying Chip Lindsey as the offensive coordinator. So I want you to watch two guys. And this is, how many times did today we watch Bryce Underwood with the rollout? And it seems easy, right? Because he's an athlete. If nothing's there, he can tuck it and run it. All of a sudden, he makes it look like he's rolling out, but instead of rolling out, on his way past Justice Haynes, he hands it to him. But just the motion of that quarterback, now all of a sudden, this player here is going to go towards the quarterback. This player here, because he thinks it's a rollout, is going to drop, and this is the entire gap that you're going to see Justice Haynes run through. And it's all because of the play selection of what was run earlier in the game, followed up with, this is what Wisconsin's doing, and this is how we're going to counter it.
And then late in the game again, Donovan McCulley making some plays. If Andrew Marsh was a story in the pass game in the first half, Donovan McCulley was a story in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, it's his playmaking ability. It's been a long time since we've seen receivers make catches like that.
Okay, and let's not forget about special teams. Our guy Joe Taylor in on another play inside the 10. Elijah Dotson was there. That set up Wisconsin with terrible field position and the best punt return of the season so far from Samaj Morgan.
Yeah, I mean, special teams, it hasn't been there every game, but when you've needed it, they've stepped up.
And also Justice Haynes, 5 games now in the maize and blue. 500-yard efforts, and this came against the #1 rush defense in the country.
It feels good. It always does when you have a defense coming in with that type of reputation. And not only do you put up more than that in the first drive, but you put up over 170 yards in an entire game, it feels really good.
We'll hear from the head coach of the Wolverines, Sharon Moore, next here on Inside Michigan Football.
That third quarter, you know, that's really when you started to see us become ourselves and, you know, put the ball downfield, run the ball, and really just make plays. So.
What about the comfort you're feeling with Bryce now that you're 5 games into this season?
You know, I'm just making sure he gets comfortable and stuff like that. And like I said, I always tell him I got his back, and wherever he puts the ball, I'm gonna go get it. So just trying to build his comfort level. Like, I'm comfortable, but just trying to build his comfort level and stuff like that.
Every single day, I tell him, trust me, no matter what. No matter if it's a good game, bad game, no matter if it's a loss or win. Trusting Donovan McCulley is what he's been telling me, so that's what I lean on today.
Really proud of Bryce. I'm proud of Marsh, Andrew Marsh making his first start. Just, you know, I'm just proud of the young boys, you know. That's what makes me happy, just seeing the young boys eat. Winning is hard. Every Saturday, winning is hard. That's a good team over there. I'm just excited to get the win. Now we're on to USC and can't wait to look forward to that challenge and see what we got looking forward.
Our conversation with the coach is brought to you by Meijer.
How'd it feel to be back out there?
Oh, outstanding, man. It was like Christmas morning. I felt like I opened the best gift that I've been waiting for about 6 months. So that initial impact of being there was awesome. You know, I thought the kids played hard. Just loved being out there with them and the energy. And, you know, you have 400 and something yards on offense and you only come up with 24 points and you feel like you didn't have 400 something yards. So we got to convert in the red zone and just do things to not hurt ourselves, because when you're producing yards on offense, but you got to produce the points.
Well, let's stay on offense and let's start just in general, right? Two turnovers so far this year with a freshman quarterback, a lot of young players, an offensive line that's been gelling. Your thoughts on just the ability to protect the ball and keep possession of it?
I think it's vitally important, right, as you get into all these games, this game against this team, and I think this team will continue to get better and get better and get better and win their physical football team that we just played. So you've got to do that. You got to compose the ball. You got to have it, especially in this conference, if you want to go win it. So I think it's been awesome to do that. There's some things we have to clean up with ball security and keeping it tight. You can't have it loose when we do have it in our possession, but to have only those turnovers is really, really awesome.
I know you personally challenged that wide receiver room. You needed more from them. Yeah. Donovan McCulley, 118 yards. Andrew Marsh, a breakout game with 80 yards. What'd you see from them? And just talk about Donovan's growth in this offense.
You know, we really saw him grow as you got through the spring and the fall, and really wanted to impact this game. And you saw him do that. I think he had 7 total targets and 6 catches. I think the one that he didn't get was a little high or off target, but 112 yards and a lot of yak too, you know. And to see him do that and the smile on his face was probably the most impactful piece, because he's got an infectious smile. Sometimes he smiles when you don't want him to smile, but like it's his defense mechanism. So it was awesome to see him. And then Andrew Marsh is a young guy that he's going to keep getting better and better, and he really impacted the game.
5 games for Justice Haynes in a Wolverine uniform, all 5 of them over 100 yards.
Credit to how hard he runs, how physically he runs, but there's got to be credit to the O-line. There were some muddy runs in there that we've got to do a better job on consistent fundamentals and technique of how we're doing it. But to get another 100 yards in a game rushing in the Big Ten is huge, so congrats.
What were some of the adjustments the defense made after that opening drive? Nobody thought that Wisconsin would go 75 yards, and then it was 8 punts and an interception following that.
First of all, just Coach Wink Martindale, just unbelievable job of how he organizes the defense, the connection with the defensive staff and the players, and how they all believe in him and what he teaches. I remember, you know, that we're going through the drive, we're like, man, what's going on? And there was no panic, it's just tackling. You know, we tackled better. We were always trying to go for the ball instead of tackling, and when you started tackling better, we made him punt.
But let's talk about Jimmy Rolder and the job that he did out there today.
Awesome, man. I'm so glad Jimmy's here. So glad he's doing so much, and he's so versatile, and he's playing such at a high level. We've always said he's another starter. I feel like we got 4 starters really in that linebacker room with him and Sully and Ernest, and obviously Jay Sean moving the edge and being able to play off the ball backer. But Jimmy led us in tackles again. He's a tone setter. He's kind of like Brandon Hillman on the second level. He hits people hard and physical, and he's doing a really good job for us.
Rod Moore's first time back in the big house playing. The last play that he had was an interception against Ohio State a couple of years ago. Yeah. Now all of a sudden he follows up with an interception and some other big plays in that game.
I mean, he's a coach on the field, but his body feels tremendous right now. He looks fast, he looks physical. He looked like a missile through snow on that reverse. You know, you see the reverse, I'm like, uh-oh. And then he just goes, whoosh, and then to see him go from one sideline to the other to get the interception. Couldn't happen to a better human being and a person we love more.
Coach, thanks a lot. Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Time for our Allo Steel Man of the Week. Here's Ed Kingerski.
Rod Moore's impact on the defense figures to intensify each week as he works his way back into the lineup. His third-quarter interception was his first of the season, the 7th of his career, and one of the game's shining moments.
Quarterback dropped back and was staring at the receiver, and I'm like, oh, I got to go get the ball out the air. And it was floating a little long, so I just ran under it, and if I ran to my arms, and it was just like, wow, I got my pick.
Considering where you've come from, everything we've talked about, just what did that really feel like in the moment?
Just like a sigh of relief, like finally I'm back playing football for real. No second guessing myself, just letting everything loose, making the plays that I used to make when I was playing before I got hurt, so it just felt great.
This was Moore's first home game since Ohio State 2023, and you could just see the joy in his eyes. The defense continues to grow and improve. His presence will only make it better. For Inside Michigan Football, I'm Ed Kingerski.
So the honorary captains on Saturday, a couple of Michigan legends. One, your teammate, your quarterback, Brian Griese.
And, we talk about that 96 Ohio State game. He comes in, hits Ty Streets, and he comes back for the 97 season. Brian was one of the greatest leaders I've been around. You got to have that at the quarterback position. He provided so much for us, and it wasn't always perfect, that Iowa game in 97. He was the one that brought us back in that second half. He knew we didn't have a great half. He came back, and he was the one that really carried us.
The other co-captain, co-honorary captain was our guy Dan Deerdorf, who always treated us great. And my favorite memory of him is his final game in the Big House. Brandstatter's final game, calling games, was the 2021 victory over Ohio State. Those guys were emotional.
They were emotional, and that's a day with the snow falling. I don't think any of us will forget.
No, so congratulations to them as they were the honorary captains. The Wolverines got the win here in Ann Arbor. Michigan travels to USC next week. We'll recap that game right here on Inside Michigan Football. We'll talk to you then. Inside Michigan Football is brought to you by Meijer. presenting sponsor of the 2025 Michigan football season and proud supporter of hundreds of local sports teams across the Midwest.